work so you can play. MiniWarGaming's The Fate of Fayoom.
Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and it's time for another story time for our Tyranid Necron campaign, The Battle for Fayoum. Now, in our last couple of missions, and by the way, there will be spoilers because I'm continuing the story. So if you have yet to watch all the other missions in the campaign, I strongly suggest that you turn off this video and you go and watch them right now, because otherwise you're going to know what happened. If you don't mind spoilers, then go ahead and keep watching. So in our last couple of missions, some very interesting things happened. First off, the Tyranids renewed their interest in the communications array that the Necrons were able to defend and reactivate and then start to use to scan for the Hive Fleet, and also to shoot down mycetic spores as they were coming in. So big advantage to the Necrons at that point. But then the Tyranids, sensing how important the communications array were, they adapted their techniques and sent some of their strongest warriors to take it down. The fight was actually led by not just one, but two of their important leaders. We had the almighty Hive Tyrant, who waded himself in and started to fight, and the Tyranid Prime, leading a group of warriors with his bone swords and lash whips and scything talons. After this fight, they actually succeeded in taking down the communications array, and so the Necrons, their idea of what's going on has been dropped considerably. What they don't realize is that the Hive Fleet has fully arrived in orbit. Well, I should say almost fully. Because you see, while that was going on, Grand Overlord Sobek sent several boarding parties thinking that he could actually board the Hive Fleets and destroy them from the inside out, just like he would against, I don't know, a Space Marine invasion or Imperial Guard or the Eldar or anybody else. He thought it'd just be like that. Didn't realize exactly what Tyranid bioships really were, as they were large living organisms. Most of the boarding parties were destroyed on approach. However, one made it to a very important ship, led by Overlord Kanum, who was a priest to Grand Overlord Sobek. He, of course, wanted to prove himself worthy, and so he waded through this Hive ship, taking substantial losses, not even sure what he was looking for, because none of it looked like a ship. It just looked like you're inside the intestines and organs of some beast. And as he got through and lost half his men, he breaks open into this huge chamber, and on the other side of this chamber there's this big organism, brain-looking thing that looks rather important, and so he decides we need to take that down. But as he goes through, he realizes that there's sentries all around, and there's floating spore mines, and off in the distance he can see some Tervagons, and he doesn't want to alert them, so he tries to go in stealthily, but within a short period of time they are all alerted to his presence, and all of a sudden eggs start bursting open with Tyranid organisms coming out to protect this vital, important part of the ship. However, he manages to punch through barely, all of his other forces destroyed, even his own group under assault. He even got taken down once, but his scarabs managed to reconstruct him at least one time. And with only a tachyon arrow in his hand, he approaches the brain and he tosses it as all the Tyranids are swarming behind him, and the tachyon arrow penetrates into the brain, destroying it, sending the ship into disarray and all the Tyranids around him to disarray. And that's all we know about Overlord Kanum. We don't know how he gets out, if he gets out, or if he even survives. So we're going to find that out later on in this campaign, but not in today's missions. See, what's happening now is the Hive Fleet has arrived, although part of it has been delayed, because it turns out that the ship that the Overlord disabled was actually a synapse node, and so it was actually controlling a large part of the Hive Fleet. So he actually slowed down the invasion, didn't even realize it, unwittingly slowed down the invasion of this Hive Fleet. But the rest of the Hive Fleet has arrived, and without the communications array in place, it just starts raining down mycetic spores all over the planet, just disgorging all of its troops, just Hormagaunts and Termagants and warriors and Carnifexes and Trigons and Tranifexes everywhere, and just starts a full attack, not really knowing where they should hit yet, because as of yet, the Necrons have managed to hold off a lot of the intelligence of the Tyranids, having killed the Broodlord, of course. And so they're going all over the place, And at this point, we are several weeks into the Hive Fleet invasion, and it's been a bloody battle on both sides. The Necrons are holding their own in certain areas. The Tyranids are overwhelming them in other areas. The vegetation on the world is starting to go crazy. The natives of the world don't even know what the heck is going on. They think it's some wrath of the gods or something else, as lightning flares one way and huge monstrous beasts that can only be described as things from hell are coming out from other sides. And they're just stuck in the middle of all this, getting killed by Necrons and eaten by Tyranids for biomass. And then we come to the mission of today. So we are going to be doing 2 missions, of course. This first one will be out for free in the link below, and then the second one I'm going to do a second story time for after this one, because it doesn't happen simultaneous to this one. And I don't want to give away what's going to be happening in that quite yet until after this mission. So this first one, the Tyranids, after weeks of their invasion, have sensed a very vital area. And they sense it by sending out lots of gaunts and finding out where the greatest resistance is. So they've actually found one of the entrances into the Necron tomb world, which of course is going to be very important for the Necrons to guard. And the Hive Tyrant and Tyranid Prime decide to lead a full frontal assault against it. Of course, adapting their genetics and their techniques to fight the Necrons more efficiently, as you will find out when we go into the scenario. You see there's some extra special rules. So the Necrons are, as of yet, not fully aware of this assault that's coming, and the Tyranids are trying to keep it as much of a surprise attack as possible. But there is still a sizable Necron force waiting to hold them off. So this first mission is going to be a 2,500 point battle with some extra reserves for the Necrons. So go ahead, there's going to be 2 links, or actually probably 3 links in the description below. One for this next mission, and then we're going to have another story time, and then the next mission after that will be in the vault. So go ahead and click below, and happy wargaming. And this Venanthrope will advance. And these Hive Guard will advance. I wish they had Armor Bane, but I said monstrous creatures. And these warriors will be right behind them. Venanthrope moves up. Ormagants for difficult terrain, 5 inches.